Welcome to the Education in Isolation podcast with me, Angela Connell, where we will explore the challenges of businesses moving from a face-to-face training mode to an online training environment. Many businesses have been caught off guard by the COVID-19 pandemic, but the situation is proving to be a catalyst for new possibilities and opportunities for the training industry. Let me and my guests help you make the most of these opportunities and to navigate the transition so that you and your organisation come out stronger and more resilient than when you went in. Education is the answer and you are the leader. Hi, and welcome to the Education in Isolation podcast with me, Angela. Today, we're interviewing Raey and Katie from aXcelerate, where we're going to be learning about what they've been doing through the pandemic and in particular, what their clients have been doing throughout this time. So welcome, Raey and Katie. Tell me a bit about yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
Yes, hello. I'm Reay Mackay, Managing Director of aXcelerate. I'm responsible for just about everything in aXcelerate, finance, marketing, sales, and making sure that our customers are being served to the very best of our ability. And my journey started with IBM, and so I've always had a passion for customer service and all of the systems that actually help drive businesses forward. And I was lucky to participate in a whole range of personal and professional development training programs and educational opportunities in my career with IBM. And I think it really helped me to develop a passion for education and training. And so after that, I joined my partner, Jules Verna Mackay. And so we helped other clients build their businesses over the years and deliver training and assessment services. And look, I'm just passionate about coaching and training others and seeing their growth and development. And so it's really this philosophy about building systems that actually can help businesses grow to the next level, but develop the people and the culture that actually enables our business and has enabled our business to get to the next level. So that's me, Katie.
Katie.
And I'm Katie from aXcelerate. So I have been with the business now for about 10 years in various roles. So I've worked with many RTOs within a technical support role, moving on to becoming our onboarding manager, into more of a client engagement manager, and then recently have shifted over to the sales and marketing side as a sales executive. But yeah, we've had our student management system commercialized for about the last 15 years or so. I'm hoping some of the listeners may have heard of us before, but yeah, we basically provide student management solutions to a lot of the vet market. We have roughly 800 clients using aXcelerate. And I guess we have quite a mission to really streamline, every training business's business that we work with, particularly trying to move them online with a lot of technology that they're using or may not be using yet.
Yeah, thank you. That was a really good outline. Now, I know a lot about aXcelerate. It's a system that we recommend to our clients quite often. And I know it's a lot more than a learning management system. There is so much more involved with it. How did that come about? How did you, because you would have started with your training side, as you said, Raey, but then at transition, where did you go from, they need a learning management system that's VETMIS compliant to where you are now, which it does so much more?
Yeah, so it actually goes way back to the late 90s when we were actually an RTO. And at that time, we developed this system called Ben-Hur, and it was based on Microsoft Access, which was the database of choice that every small business used to develop their systems. And in 2000, we had a business mentor who said, you really need to get on and start developing your business systems using cloud-based technology, which was starting to really emerge at that time. And so we started building the internal training systems for our business, for VM learning, using cloud-based technology. And it was in 2004 we were having an audit from an external auditor for our business who said, wow, this is an amazing system. have you ever thought of commercializing it? And we looked at each other, Jules and I, and we thought, well, no, we hadn't. But that was the beginning of our journey. And we first released the commercial version of aXcelerate onto the market in about 2007-8, during the height of the global financial crisis, which wasn't a great time to release anything onto the market. But luckily in 2010, the government mandated that all RTOs had to have an event miscompliant student management system. And so our system was event miscompliant, and that really catapulted our journey into the whole student management system market. But because of Jules and my passion for training and development, it was always going to be more than just a student management system. And we realized that in order to enable our clients to use just one system, we'd have to start pushing and developing the learning management side of things, the support for e-learning and online assessments, which began back in 2014 when we were an early adopter of a learning technology called the Experience API. It was called the Tin Can API back then, but is an important development of e-learning standards, which is taking over from the SCORM standards. So, yeah, I'm just passionate about learning and development.
You can tell how passionate.
Yeah, so that's really where it comes from.
And I think that really shows through, you're not just a database company. It's very much shows through what you have implemented within your systems, that it's very much how can we accommodate everything that you need within an RTO, and having that understanding of running an RTO. It makes a big difference. I know for me, because I've owned and operated 2 of my own RTOs, I understand what it's not like. It's not just auditing an RTO and you've got to be compliant. There's so much more with running an RTO, and being a trainer assessor as well. You get an understanding of not only the systems and practices that you need to have in place, but how are they going to be utilised by the team members within the RTO, and that's prevalent throughout what I've seen, how I've seen you grow and see the aXcelerate grow as well. And kudos to you. That is really, really good. I'll just let you in a little secret as well. I used to build databases in Access. I used to build them in Lotus 123.
Oh my goodness. Now you're going back. Take a minute back to my days. Yeah. So I remember when I had my RTO, at that time I was using Inquiry Mate, and it was a database that needed a server. So, and I remember saying to him, to the owner then, because I helped a lot with the development, that you need to go over the cloud, and he resisted on doing that. But I asked him if I could have a look at the back end of the database, because I knew how to build databases and I knew it was going to be quite complex, and it was like, whoa. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll continue on. So this year, as we know, has been an unprecedented year, and there's been so many different things that we've had to go through. And I'm really interested to hear not only how you have gone through COVID and what has been your biggest challenge, but also what has been the challenge with your clients.
For sure. And I guess it is a bit of a 2-pronged answer, because one is sort of how we've managed this internally, which I'll talk about, but also, what have all our clients been doing? How have they been coping? Because it has been such an interesting time, to say the least. But yeah, I guess to begin with, internally, we had to make the move very quickly to working from home. And we've got probably about 45 staff who work within our Brisbane office. So moving everyone from home, I think we actually did it. Raey and Jules sort of decided to make that move prior to any sort of government direction, which I think in hindsight was a good move. And within about 48 hours, everyone was working from home. So I guess one of the challenges was that, redirecting all our phones for our support team. We do all of our training online anyway, and obviously all of our development is done online. But yeah, I guess changing our systems so that our support team then had VoIP which actually has given us some amazing, additional benefits with all the analytics. We can now see how many clients are calling us, what are they calling about, which, we could, pick a number out of the sky, but before COVID, we didn't have as much visibility. Looking at our clients, it has just been, it's been really a time for moving online like no other before. So I guess we have started developing our systems, our online assessment and training systems to kind of complement aXcelerate natively a couple of years ago, 3 years ago now. And so we've sort of had clients that have been adapting to moving their training online through our turbo functionality within aXcelerate. So authoring their assessments, authoring their learning, and having students actually undertake all of that through our student portal. But they're really, I don't think we've had a bigger quarter in terms of clients needing to quickly make the move, change, even if it was just trying to get an online sort of system for their students to be accessing PDF documents, for example. But a lot of our clients, I think, saw the opportunity and thought, we've got to do this now because we're not going to have enough time at any other stage, and we've got a little bit of downtime now. We did see a lot of clients move their training online using our software, which was great.
And what were they doing with moving on to online? So you said some were, whether it was just PDFs, was it also, were you involved with helping them out with how to do that online?
Yeah, for sure. We kind of, at the point where COVID was just starting to hit, we decided to run a big webinar because we had clients, calling and just didn't really know where to turn to and what to do. And so we decided to run this webinar. I think we had about 200 people or 200 businesses sit in, and we basically went through the basics of how they could transition online. And that may be very simply allowing their students to access documents, via an online portal, but ultimately was having the actual assessments built in aXcelerate, their learning deployed from something like SCORM. Actually having students undertake assessments through our system. And we then had a lot of clients move to that new functionality.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say that some of our clients had very limited resources and time. Yeah. And so what we tried to do was triage the various options that they had available to them to go online. I think most RTOs pivoted pretty quickly to using tools like Zoom and other meeting software if they could, and most could. But for other RTOs that had more resources, they were able to use the time, maybe use some of the downtime to start building online content. And COVID was the impetus that actually drove them to actually do something that possibly they'd had in the wings, maybe for the last 2 years. But there were many RTOs that said to me, we're using this time to really build up our content and make sure that we're actually getting development and using the tools that we know are going to be needed post-COVID, no matter what. So it was an interesting time.
And I think for a lot of the businesses that we work with, it may not have even been on the radar, and this would have been the biggest wake-up call for them because I think so many businesses out there who just rely on face-to-face training, which ultimately is amazing. But if you've got no backup whatsoever, it's a bit scary. And I think it has been a scary time for a lot of businesses.
Yeah. And I found exactly the same thing with our clients is making, and as you know, education isolation came about due to COVID and how we were able to transition over. And I truly believe that we are never going to go back to the same way that we were delivering training. In particular, students are now, they're quite comfortable with being at home and doing their study at home, and they're actually becoming a lot more regimented with actually getting online and doing their training instead of because online training had a 90% dropout in the past. And I think that's changed now because this is the new norm. This is what we do now. Okay, so you had your challenges with your clients. You jumped in there and you got a webinar out there as well, which is awesome. And I think that's the support that the industry really need. So what were the hurdles that came up along the way that you realised that you needed to overcome? Was there anything that you had to change with your product or with the way you deliver?
Absolutely. I might let Ray tell you a little bit about our recent projects.
Yeah, so we realised that if clients were pivoting online, they needed more and more tools to use in their training and assessment. And so back in early March, what we decided to do was ramp up our development focus on the e-learning tools. And we created this project called Round the Clock, the Round the Clock project. It actually became renamed as the Rock Around the Clock project. Essentially, we added an extra 1,500 development hours for developers in our team who we knew were going to be at home for at least 2 to 3 months, and we're going to be probably at a bit of a loose end with their spare time. And so we provided some incentives for them to develop a whole range of additional features, which we've been able to roll out to our clients to help them extend the capabilities that they've got with online training and assessment. So, for example, one of the things that we added was our virtual classroom feature, which essentially changes the functionality of our workshop capability to be a virtual classroom. And to leverage a product like Zoom, but to do it easily within the learner portal, so that students could actually access their Zoom meeting information for their virtual classroom from the learner portal and be able to automatically mark their attendance, from that functionality. So it really pushed us, I guess, it made us think about what are our clients need in this time, and really that's where we focused our energies.
Yeah, and I guess as well as the webinar, just as much proactive engagement that we possibly could. We do try and put a lot of focus, obviously, on reactive support, but also proactively reaching out and just seeing how our clients are going. And there's so many different, people are in such different boats at this time. So it's really just trying to, I guess, in essence, help them in any way that we could. But yeah, if it was trying to suggest different ways that they could go online in a business which might have been completely face-to-face, trying to assist them that way as well. But yeah, I think, as Ray has said, things like virtual classrooms, trying to create some additional, more interactive, engaging question types. So rather than just having a 50-question multiple choice quiz or short answer quiz, some additional question types like matching images with text, or having a look at an image and being able to then go and label it, but actually having the system do all of the marking. So it's saving the trainer then quite a lot of time. So yeah, some different things like that as well.
One of the things I love about aXcelerate is the integration and the amount of integration you can have. So just hearing about how it can integrate with Zoom, fantastic. And I know personally, like there was a number of people who thought, oh no, this will just go away. We'll just, stop work for a little while and then come back. In reality, everyone knows that is not what happened.
We were hoping.
Yeah, they were hoping. And fortunately now we have Job Trainer. So it's a very big, different market now. And and that's been our focus, is how do we get everyone onto that as well. So you've made lots of changes and it's awesome. Like I think where you can identify, okay, we've got some downtime, what can we do with that will make the most out of what we currently have to be able to serve our clients better. And so I would see that you would have a lot of clients now who never would have been online before, who are now delivering online.
Yeah.
And they already had, through you guys, the ability to be able to do that. So yeah, it would have been massive. A huge learning curve for so many people.
Very big. But yeah, and I guess that's another thing is trying to actually just use the platform that you're already using and just extending your use rather than going through a whole nother learning curve. And so we've tried to, with every piece of functionality, release really short, helpful little videos and just things that mean that we're not having to actually undertake training with every one of our clients to get them using these products, which is definitely kind of shorten the amount of time it takes for them to get up and running. So yeah,
Yeah. And so have you found through this time that you've lost clients or you've got more clients because of the system that you have?
Well, we've got many more clients than we've lost. Thankfully, the industry has definitely lost some clients, but not that many. We have some clients who have asked us if they could just put their account on hold because they're struggling, probably scratching their heads, wondering where to from here. But they're in a very small minority. The vast majority of clients have bitten the bullet, have been able to pivot, and are continuing to progress in some form. I mean, some of our clients are definitely working in a degraded sense and are definitely taking advantage of government stimulus. But other clients are actually just booming. So it is variable, definitely, but the majority of our clients have actually made it through this pretty well. And I think most realise that this is the new normal and that they have to continue to focus on developing their online presence, their online capabilities, and manage everything online, not just delivering training to their students and their clients, but also managing their business and all of their business processes. I mean, most businesses now can't fly interstate if they've got clients interstate in order to have sales meetings and engagements. It all has to be done online. So it's a big learning curve all round.
Yeah, to answer your question, we have had, I don't know exactly how many new clients as well kind of transition to aXcelerate, but we have had one of the biggest quarters of new clients coming on board in that sort of March to June period because we've just had so many that have had a student management system but really wanted something that was fully integrated, and it kind of has given them time to think, well, are we looking at an LMS or do we want to completely move? And so it's been a very interesting time in a time which was challenging.
Yeah, because they have to change the whole model of what they're doing. And unfortunately, there are databases out there that don't cover the, particularly getting online and that delivery of online as well. So I think that part of it would be, and that's where I thought you definitely would have picked up some new clients. So what has been your biggest achievement? So, and I might do this individually. So, Raey?
Yeah, look, I think probably moving 40 of our staff at the time online in a very short period of time. We were lucky to have a lot of systems online already. But it's surprising how quickly you can move when there's a major reason to do so. And I think for me, the biggest learning there was, there's so many things that we could do much more dynamically and much more decisively if we just have the impetus to do so. It really comes down to us as leaders to say this is where we want to go. But quite often we worry about whether, how people are going to feel and what are people going to think and how's it going to affect the business. And maybe this is too risky, or maybe this is too risky right now. So for me, the biggest achievement was pulling something off like that and having the rest of the business perform relatively well after going through such a major change. Kate, what about for you?
Well, I guess, heading up or being one of the sales executives from our team, it's just, for me, I had one of the biggest and busiest quarters I've ever had within the business. And I think the flow-on effects was we've never done so much onboarding of new clients and training, and it was just a full-on quarter. But I think as well, it was a great time for a lot of our clients to actually move to our turbo version of aXcelerate as well. So we had probably the most amount of new clients we've had come on board ever, really, and then the most amount of clients moving to all our online learning functionality, which really for us is the end goal. We would love to see every one of our clients using our whole suite of aXcelerate, because we do have all this functionality, and one of the hardest things is getting the word out there. So things like webinars and trying to email and, obviously not try to spam our clients too much to the point where we annoy them, but, trying to get the word out there is obviously, but that's been one of our biggest achievements, and just, having a great quarter.
And I think that one of the things is the capability of aXcelerate to do so many things that people may get overwhelmed with
Really?
that. But when they realise what it actually can do for them to save them time. What were you going to say, Ray?
Yeah, no, I was going to say it can be overwhelming. I mean, we use business systems ourselves internally, and one of the things that we have to do is make sure that we, we do what we're saying our clients should do.
That's exactly right.
And that is to discipline ourselves, to look at the way that we're using our internal systems and taking our use of those systems to the next level. For example, we use HubSpot to manage all of our sales and marketing. HubSpot is an amazing platform with amazing amount of integration and features. But we have to make sure that we're setting goals every quarter to say, okay, what new features can we use in HubSpot? Because we're already paying for the software. We might as well be consistently adopting new features or adding new capabilities to our business. But it comes down to continuous learning and development of the platforms that we've chosen for our business.
And that's exactly right. We're the same. We use Infusionsoft, and we've been looking at different ways we can integrate that with different systems that we use as well. And I think, one of the things that, like last year, we did a survey of our mailing list, and we got 150 responses of what are your top 3 problems. And what we identified was time, money, and compliance. And time is automation. People are not using automation. They don't, and they have systems there and they're not using it to its full capacity.
Yes.
Yeah. And then money is getting more students in marketing and how to, using social media and Google Ads and things like that. And then compliance was mainly around their team members not understanding their responsibilities when it came to compliance. So, so they're great achievements. On top of that is all of those changes that you made to your systems that make it more user-friendly and actually meet the needs of clients right now. And I love that rock around the clock idea. That is awesome.
People literally rocking around the
clock. So what strategies have you put in place moving from, where we are now and into the future? And what do you see? And I say, Ray, this will be your brains that and creativity where this will come in. What do you see the future of training?
Look, I think the future of training is going to become more and more fragmented. I mean, we're seeing it now with the rise of micro-credentials. And micro credentials being added into the AQF framework. More and more learning is going to be more just in time and more granular. I think gone are going to be the days where you do a 3-year university degree. It's going to be much more skills based. It's going to be there's going to be much more focus on any sort of training or education that you do, having that work-based component. So you're not just learning about theory for 6 months and not applying it in some sort of practical way within the workplace. So work-based learning and combine practical components with theory that is the VET model. And that's why around the world, more and more economies are turning to competency-based education and training and skills to drive their economy. And I think we're seeing it also with universities now opening up more and more courses, which are micro courses, micro credentials, non-accredited. And because I think that, the new economies need a much more agile approach to training and development, much more skill set based. And so we're continually looking at ways in which we can adapt the software to enable our clients to be able to deliver that sort of training, much more modular, but also enabling students to complete modules, but then move on to other modules, and eventually, if they want to, achieve a full qualification. But of course, nowadays we're seeing that more and more students, they just want module or the micro credential, which will enable them to get into the particular job that they're looking for. So, the rise of credentials and credentialing is very important, and also real-time competency-based assessments. That's where I see education and training going.
Yeah, micro-credentialing is going to have a massive impact on our whole industry. The vet reform as well is another big impact that's over the next 3 to 4 years. There's going to be some massive changes. And micro-credentialing actually came about because industry was saying, we actually cannot find people with the skills and knowledge that we need. And this has become prevalent during this time where we've got high unemployment, but we've got so many people looking for staff. And some of the problems is job seeker, which has enabled people to stay at home and just earn job seeker, and they're not interested because they can earn more on that than they can in a job. But the other problem is they can't find people with the skills and knowledge required to be able to fill the ever-changing work environment that is happening now. So a job trainer, by the way, is including micro-credentialing. So they're actually launching a trial with the micro-credentialing in Job Trainer. So it's going to be very interesting. The next couple of years, it's going to be massive change, but really good for the industry, for all industries.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So what you see in the future then is the way we're going to be working, the way we're going to be delivering training. That micro-credentialing is also going to have massive impact with how we're delivering training. What's on the agenda for you guys in the future? What exciting projects have you got coming up with aXcelerate?
I think going off what Ray was saying as well in terms of future, I think we've got a huge focus on student experience and that whole learning experience for a student. And I think that more and more as this becomes the norm, which kind of already is the norm, students are going to have a certain expectation as to what their learning experience should look like. And they're going to know when they have a good experience and when they, maybe when a provider is not with the times or is not kind of keeping up with where technology is going. So I guess on top of the assessment functionality and all this sort of learning and assessment functionality that we're developing, student experience has been a major focus for us and will continue to be a major focus with app development. And, Ray might want to talk a little bit about what we're doing in the work-based learning space as well.
We're partnering with a number of clients to develop some amazing new apps to support RTOs with work-based learning, specifically to support them with programs like structured work placements or work experience programs. We see this as very important, not only for the general vet stream of clients, but also for schools, because more and more schools are looking to increase the work component of study for school students. And it's traditionally been for grade 11 and 12, but schools are now starting to talk about introducing that in grade 10 and grade 9, so that students can start to build a portfolio of work skills. So by the time they are ready to graduate from either school or from university, they are well and truly job ready. So certainly work-based learning is very front and center for us, and having a beautiful set of functionality and systems that enable RTOs to combine work-based learning with traditional learning and online learning. And the other thing that we're really focused on is data. It's true to say that organizations in the future that are going to be successful will really understand the data of their business. And it's not just sales data and marketing data and financial data. It's learning data, it's assessment data, it's understanding how effective the training and assessment delivery is for the organization. And so we plan to extend the existing capabilities that our clients have in data management and reporting and visualization to the next level, over the next 12 months as it becomes more and more important. And it also becomes more and more artificial intelligence driven because more and more customers are wanting automation and are wanting, essentially the system to start recommending, training courses or assessments or other information which learners or clients need in order to, progress their journey of training and development.
Mm. Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear you pinpoint that data because it's actually a big non-compliance in within training organisations currently is they're collecting the data, but they're not doing anything with the data. Now, there's a twofold. Yeah, it's a compliance requirement, but as you said, there's so much you can learn from that data with improving your practices. And that's where when they change the standards to training and assessment strategies and practices, it's how you're putting it into practice. It's not you're collecting the data and then using it for your reporting. It's what are you doing to improve your practices? So do you see bots? You'll be using bots in your systems?
Oh, yeah. I think more and more we'll see using artificial intelligence and machine learning bots. But I mean, bots, you've got to be very, very careful. They have their place, but in such a human-centered process as training and educating people, they've got to be used very cautiously. And the big thing is testing. A lot of these technologies, what we find is that they're a really good servant, but a bad master. And if they're rolled out before being thoroughly tested with a very small cohort of students, they can cause all sorts of problems. So I think definitely they have their place and they're definitely going to be part of our development strategy moving forward.
Yeah. And I know we're seeing that a lot. We have a chatbot on our training website and we get clients who, they might be just stuck on a module or they can't move to another section or they just want to know an answer to, they even ask questions about the content that's on there and our whole team is online. So they get access to all of us. And that's where I see the future of online training is if they've got trainers who are available there to be able to just chat to or ask a question that might be like we've got automation in place with standard answers of the different, like if they're having trouble logging in or need to download a document, how to do that and things like that. So, yeah, I think that I'm so excited for you.
Yeah.
It's going to be there's so many exciting things. Okay, thank you very much for all of that. Now, our final question of the day, and I'll ask individually as well for this one. So we'll start with Katie. What keeps you motivated each day?
Oh, goodness me. It's a big question. I mean, I can't speak highly enough about the team that we work with internally, but also we have some of the most amazing clients that we work with, proper evangelists who are just, will back us, in any sort of situation. And it's lovely, to be able to work with all of these clients that are so passionate about where we're going and, hopefully in turn then helping their business with all of the new development that we're doing. So, yeah, I guess just being able to deal with really lovely people all the time, both externally but also internally as well. And I guess as well as that, it'll be really exciting to just see where everything, obviously COVID is causing all of these things to happen, and it'll just be very interesting to see what some of these more permanent changes will be as a result. And I know that, purely through my role, I would be flying normally interstate, delivering client forums and doing, demonstrations face-to-face in front of a big boardroom. It's just not, well, at the moment, at least, it's not the norm. So it's just going to be very interesting to see how businesses change ultimately, hopefully for the better, as a result of COVID. What about you, Ray?
Well, look, for me, at my core, I love solving problems. And so what gets me out of bed each morning is the problems that we can solve for our clients, and also the problems that we can solve for our team. We've got a lot of problems, a lot of complexity in the type of business that we run. and it's also our team as well. It's their responsibilities to come up with great solutions for our clients and help our clients manage all of the complexity in the businesses that they have. And arguably, an RTO has got one of the most complex types of businesses.
The most complex business.
Yeah, I mean,
ever.
I think about the assessment process by itself. I mean, the amount of audit trail and evidence and the processes involved, the multiple stakeholders are involved in that one particular process. And so that's what really drives me, is how can we build better systems to run the businesses so that the people can run those systems effectively and get better outcomes and grow their businesses without pulling their hair out. That's really what drives me.
And it sounds like solving the problems of the future.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's identifying
what that is.
Yeah. Because that triggered for me, because that's what we do. We try and identify what are the problems of the future, not where you are right now. And I think that's why you've done so well with your systems, is you're really, staying a step ahead of your clients and what their future will be. Well, it's been awesome chatting with you both today, Raey and Katie. It's really good to find out a bit more about what you've been going through, and in particular, what your clients have been going through. And so exciting to hear about your projects that you're working on moving into the future. So thank you very much for attending this podcast today.
Thank
Pleasure.
you. Thanks for having
Angela.
us.
Thank you. You've been listening to the Education in Isolation podcast with me, Angela Connell. Do you know someone else who could benefit from learning about opportunities and strategies to provide training online? Please take a moment to share this and other episodes via your podcast app, email, or social media channels. Each share helps us reach listeners just like you who can benefit from our content. The Education in Isolation podcast is proud to be part of the Experts on Air podcast network.